So the stock market has made an incredible turnaround from just this time last month, erasing almost all the losses from the year already. And we're seeing some really, really exciting things. If you're a tech investor, this is an incredibly bullish period of time. And we're going to get into a lot of different news today that's covering that. So I'm going to go very in depth into the news that I think is the most relevant. And then I'm also going to cover 4 tickers that I've been watching very closely. And those tickers are SoundHound, ACHR, BigBear.ai, and QBTS D-Wave. We're going to cover all of that. We're going to do this in a short amount of time because I respect your time. So let's jump right in. All right, guys. So I have a bunch of articles pulled up here because there's a lot happening right now. And I just want to make sure that I do a good job sharing what I'm seeing and what's happening in the world and why the stock market is doing so well, especially this week. So the White House has announced a $600 billion Saudi investment in the US during the Trump visit. So that's one thing we know, is that Trump is over in Saudi Arabia, and there is a lot of money in Saudi Arabia. And essentially they want to beef up their defense and their AI. So we have great defense companies and we have great AI companies. We see that Trump is pitching more hopeful future in the Middle East. So he's bringing a message of hope to the Middle East and urging the region to pursue economic development rather than Iran's self-destructive path. Let's take a look at CNN and their coverage. So we also know that Trump is planning to lift Syria sanctions as he touts Saudi Arabia deals. Let's take a look at the CNBC article. So this one was really big for Nvidia. Nvidia is sending 18,000 of its top AI chips to Saudi Arabia. So the announcement was made as part of the White House-led trip to the region that includes Donald Trump and other top CEOs. Nvidia said its first deployment will use its Blackwell chip. So that's very exciting. So I've been an Nvidia investor for quite a while, and really the stock has done nothing. It's gone sideways. DeepSeek hurt the stock. The AI chip restrictions to China has hurt the stock. And there's just a number of other things, tariffs and trade embargoes. Essentially, 145% tariff might as well be an embargo. So seeing some of the stickiness in the market kind of clear, because we've seen in the last 4 days that we've seen US-China trade deals, trade tensions easing. We also see that Trump is working with other countries on buying America. So it seems that rapidly the tone and the sentiment in the market has shifted. So from a very bearish, very concerned standpoint to more of a bullish, let's buy America and let's buy these great tech companies that happen to be in America. So we also know that today the CPI came in at 2.3% and analysts were expecting a 2.4%. So even the inflation data is super bullish for banks, because we can see stocks like SoFi do really well when the Fed cuts the interest rate. We know that Trump called for the Fed to cut the interest rate yet again today when that reading came in. And we know that inflation cooling off increases the probability of rate cuts, and rate cuts are very good for the market, which gives the entire market and tech a bullish outlook. So what was very interesting to me as well is that there are a lot of tech CEOs. So I'm a big tech investor. I own Nvidia, I own Palantir, I own dozens and dozens of tech companies. So this was like a tech extravaganza, and there's a lot to be excited about. So I'm just going to scroll down this article real quickly here. So Elon Musk was there. We can see Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is there. We see we see Sam Altman. We know Alex Karp was there. This is Lisa Su, who is the CEO of AMD. So, and there was a lot more than that. So there is a very friendly sort of atmosphere that the Trump administration has created towards these big tech businesses in the last 5 days, in both the easing of the U.S.-China trade talks and now the Saudi Arabia's investment in the U.S. So very exciting for the U.S. markets and for Saudi Arabia as well. Let's look at a couple of tweets that Amit put out today. Amit posted this tweet showing the CEO, Alex Karp, speaking with the president. And then we see that Palantir and Nvidia had a fantastic day in the market. I also wanted to roll one clip because we also know in this last 4 days, we got the drug price executive order. And I was watching The Daily Show, and I just have to roll this clip for you all so you can see this, because this was pretty surreal to me. So take a look at this.
Percent almost immediately. This appears to be the major announcement that the president has been teasing for days.
I am having wanted that for years. Pharma has exploited the American consumer while we have in turn subsidized their whole industry with tax incentives and direct funds. I like this.
So I wanted to roll that because I watched Jon Stewart for a long time, and it is rare that him and Trump agree on anything. But I think we can all agree that the U.S. paying fair prices for pharmaceuticals and drugs in the U.S. is a good thing for everyone. I've had elderly family members that have paid really exorbitant prices for drugs. So that is also something that's happened. And so there's a lot of good news. And I've said on this channel a number of times that the market for probably 6 or 7 weeks was just starving for any good news. And it looks like we're starting to make some progress. So I want to take a look now. We're going to shift from the news, and that's kind of paints the picture of why tech is doing so well. Now I want to look at our quantum watch list, and I want to do some price analysis and get us out of here as quickly as possible, because I know you guys don't want to hear me just talk and talk. So pretty great. So a nice day for tech, not necessarily the best day for quantum. And I'll show you guys why. Well, I'll give you guys some of my theories on this. So, okay, so today, all right, so Skywater, the chip fabricator for D-Wave and an onshore manufacturer of US chips, 8.7%. Nvidia, 6%, huge move. 5.6%, huge move. IBM, we know they have some quantum. Intel has some quantum. Amazon had a little move, and IonQ had a move. Even Google was up a little bit. We do see that we did trade flat today with QBTS, and I'll go into that when we go into price analysis. And we see that Rigetti was absolutely punished for their weak earnings. And this is not a surprise to me, not a surprise at all. ARQQ has earnings coming up, I believe, and they also got hit. So we actually see a lot of the quantum pure plays took a hit today, probably dragged down by Rigetti and their weak earnings. Now, the thing with Rigetti and what everyone should keep in mind is Rigetti's CEO isn't trying to hide anything from anyone. He's saying in all of his interviews, in fact, I have the video on my channel if you want to go take a look at his last long interview where he talks about the company. I'm going to pull that up right here so you guys can see. That's the Needham interview. It's got about 800 views, and I posted that 3 days ago. Go check that out if you want to learn more about the company and where the tech is right now. Now, Rigetti missed on earnings, but they have a lot of cash runway. I'm not too worried about Rigetti for the long haul. In the short term, it does look like Rigetti might be a bit more bearish, but we will have to see. It did hold around that $10 price point. So I'm not going to go into the chart with Rigetti today. We're going to talk about some exciting small cap stocks. We're going to talk about Archer, BigBear, SoundHound, and D-Wave. And we're going to start with Archer. So I've talked about Archer recently on the channel, and I want to take an opportunity right now for those of you who've been following for a while, and maybe you're just a quantum investor, or maybe you invest in a lot of the similar companies like I do want to point out that as a growth investor and a tech investor, I want to point out that these stocks can move with velocity very quickly when the tides turn, when risk is back on, which is the market that we're now in with all of the good macro. These stocks can move in a serious way. So we saw that today with Archer. Archer posted a 22.91% gain. We see a massive green candle at open. We have beautiful structure throughout the day, a little bit of sell-off in the middle of the day, and we close at 11:15. So if we measure that move from market close yesterday to close today, that's actually a 24% move. So really impressive move for Archer. And we do know that Archer and Saudi, they have ordered these planes, and it's part of their backlog, their midnight aircraft. So let's zoom out a little bit and talk about Archer and what we have potentially coming up for Archer. So if we look at the all-time chart for Archer, we know that at their highest point, they're around $18. They've sold off and been down in the twos. And then lately there's been a lot of volume and interest. You can see that in the candles down here. And we've seen the stock push up and reject off of 1236. We've seen it reject off of this just sub 12 number a few times. And now we're kind of in this same nosebleeds for Archer. Now, the price action today was quite strong. They're quite bullish. And this follows the greater kind of tech theme that I've been talking about in this video. But what can we expect going forward for Archer? So we know that with our price history, Archer has been in this channel for quite a while, between the $7 to $10. So going forward, could we look at $10 potentially as a support, or could we see this 1175-ish become a new support for Archer? We know that Archer is planning to deliver an aircraft, and we're going to start seeing videos of these airplanes in the air. So if that's the case, this stock is going to respond to those headlines, to those videos, to the photos, to just the hype of these eVTOLs being in the air. So if we look at this, this is kind of the picture I had in my head, but basically imagine the electric vertical takeoff, and we're going so, and that's just kind of the beginning, I think, for Archer. So people are making their positions now at this $10 price point, because 2025, 2026 can be very exciting for Archer. So looking very bullish for Archer. BigBear.ai. So let's take a look at the last 6 months of BigBear. So I do want to say that BigBear is an irrational love of mine in the stock market. You're not supposed to love stocks, but I love BigBear for some reason. I've been hanging out with BigBear since probably October of last year, and I've seen it run all the way up to $10, and I've seen it go through these cycles. Now today, it kind of came alive, and I think this had to do a little bit of a sympathy run with Palantir. We know that the AI theme is alive. I want to talk a little bit about some trades that I made specifically around Big Bear. If you all are kind of interested in how I'm playing Big Bear. So I want to point out that this 383 level that I've marked as resistance here, we have 1, 2, 3 rejections off of that 383, including today. And if we go back, we can see that even further back in the chart, that 383 has been a critical level. Now, we know the resistance is there, but we also saw that Big Bear had a 10% move today. So we saw, let's take a look at the chart. We saw bullish buying. We saw this incredible rally in the morning, and we hit the resistance and we just kind of reject, but we close much higher than the open. So a couple things I did before this rally, I did pick up 6 call contracts expiring June 27th at the 3.5, so $3.50. So what I'm targeting is profit with these call contracts of any price movement up from the 350 strike. Now, what I expect from Big Bear, or what I'm hoping for, I should say, and what it needs to do is get through this key $4 resistance. So in a bull case, we could see it do something like this, bounce around these levels and start working its way back up. In a bearish case, we could see it sell back down, potentially to the rising support. The rising support is this blue line. The blue line we've drawn on the channel before, but it essentially is the aggregate uptrend that we are seeing in the stock. And we're well above the rising support at this time for BigBear.ai. There's also another trade that I have on Big Bear at this time. I want to talk about that a little bit as well. So I also have I have 15 calls expiring early June at the $4 strike. So I liked the risk reward. I'm targeting any price move above $4 for early June. And those calls increased in value considerably today with the price action. All right, so let's take a look at D-Wave QBTS. And I've been giving it some thought. I've had a few people message me about D-Wave. And I really think that there's just so many growth opportunities in the market right now that, since the quantum theme hasn't had a lot of new news lately, some money is rotating out of quantum. We saw that with Rigetti today. Rigetti is down 14%. And we see company like D-Wave that had a great earnings, but we can see that in the past, D-Wave's had a little bit of trouble getting past this $12 point. We've seen rejections off this 1192 and consolidations. This is now essentially the third time this has happened. And then typically that is followed by sharp sell-off down to a different level. Now, D-Wave is holding its own. Let's look at the last 5 trading days. And I don't think there's cause for concern yet, but I'm still very interested in this $9.37 level. I do think it is possible that D-Wave could sell down and kind of hold. It is also possible. It looks like there's a lot of buyers that step in around this $10.50 level. So that might be a new area of interest for us. I'm not going to mark that yet because I want to see some more price history for that. So I'm still looking at 937 and 1192. I don't have any contracts. I have a lot of shares of D-Wave. And if we look at the 1 year, we still are squarely in an uptrend. So what are catalysts that we need to see from D-Wave? I think some catalysts would be, we want to get some hints about the next quarter. So is the next quarter sustainable? They had a great quarter this quarter. Is that a one-time thing, or is that something that's going to keep happening? New science breakthroughs. So they published their breakthrough quantum supremacy in Science magazine. Do they have anything else up their sleeve like that? New partnerships. So any new partnerships we know that Anduril was at D-Wave's conference looking at quantum computers. We know Boeing had said on stage, we did not realize the ceiling was so high for what we can do with quantum computers and quantum annealing. So something in that vein would be incredible. Computer sales. So if they're able to sell another computer, one of their Advantage systems, we know they have one installed currently at Davidson. That is potentially a trial period situation. We're not fully sure about the details and if Davidson Technology is going to purchase that computer for their operations, but any sort of unit sales, computer sales, installations in a supercomputer facility would be insanely bullish for D-Wave. So there's a lot of potential catalysts coming up. And we do know that that's potentially why people are just holding on to D-Wave at this $10 plus price range. Now, will D-Wave run further? I'm not convinced that at this point it's going to break this 1192. It's going to need a catalyst. Now, my other thought on D-Wave and buying it at this point is it is a bit of a risky entry point, because we do know that the risk reward, if we look at the potential upside, we're not at a comfortable entry point if you're a new investor into D-Wave. But if you believe any of these things are going to happen this quarter, in the next 3 months, then we're still very much within a reasonable price range, because the stock would probably move considerably on any of these things. All right, that is everything I have for D-Wave. Let's take a look at SoundHound, which posted a back-to-back positive day. Now the movement for SoundHound, the real big move that happened with SoundHound was from last Friday to the peak today. We've had a 28% move. There was a little bit of sell-off at the end of the day. I think we're in a trader's paradise right now with that. We saw a lot of sell-off at the end of the day, just because I think a lot of people are in and out. I want to show you how I'm trading this. So I did pick up 5 Sound call contracts at the $11 strike, expiring 6/13. Those have gone up a little bit in value. I'm just targeting upward price moves from $11. Now, why am I specifically interested in the $11 strike? Well, let's go back a little bit further so we can see why I took this trade. So the price history we have shows me that once SoundHound is over that $11 point, it likes to move up, and it likes to move up violently. So we measured this move on the channel yesterday, but I want to just cover it one more time. So if we were to recover to all-time highs, that's a 115% potential upside. So I'm just trying to capture some shares. The risk reward seemed pretty good for the current macro. Now, I did say on this channel before that I had moved out of options and was essentially buying shares only. to weather the storm. I'm not saying that the storm has completely passed and there could always be curveballs and that type of thing, but for tech in general, things are looking incredibly bullish in the near term. I also want to point out that a lot of my investments are growth stocks. They are risky. They all investments carry risk. But if you're looking to enter the market, I really do want to encourage you to do your own research, do your own due diligence. Everything that I invest in, I have a story, right? So the story, once I have a story that makes sense to me, that I believe in, that's when I invest. That's when I have the conviction. So when I see the stock go down 20, 30, 40, 50%, like on April 8th, April 9th, I'm okay because I have the shares and I have the conviction. For new investors or people that don't have the appetite for the swings or the risks that come with growth stocks, just make sure you're setting stop losses, learn about stop losses, and make sure you're doing your own research. That's the most important thing. Don't ever make a trade or do something because I'm doing it. I don't really want to be in the business of someone getting their heart broken or their wallet emptied because they did something and a trade didn't work out for me. Trades don't work out for me all the time. Just because I'm talking about it doesn't mean that it's going to be profitable. But with that being said, in 25 minutes-ish, we covered 4 stocks. We covered the news and the macro. If you enjoy content like this, please consider leaving a like or subscribe if I've earned it. And if you're new to the channel, head over to thequantumbull.com. You can head over there on your phone or your device and just take a look. Tell me what you think. I spent many late sleepless nights building thequantumbull.com, and I think it's a really cool website. Take a look, and good luck out there in the market.